If you're following events in the South China Sea, you mostly hear, well, just noise, right?
Absolutely, it's loud.
You've got Chinese state media shouting about indisputable sovereignty. You've got these huge maritime militia boats swarming areas, and then the water cannons against smaller Filipino vessels.
Yeah, it's very visible aggression, very much designed to overwhelm and, frankly, normalize their presence through sheer volume.
It's like aggression turned up to 11.
Exactly. The goal seems to be to make everyone just accept this constant low-level pressure. It's exhausting for everyone involved, especially Beijing's neighbors.
But okay, underneath all that shouting, something else is happening, something much quieter and maybe much smarter.
That's what our sources are pointing towards, yes.
We're doing a deep dive today into sources detailing Australia's countermove. And it's quiet. They're building 8 military projects, apparently across 5 discrete sites in the Philippines.
And this isn't just another defense pact on paper. This is different. It's a real strategic shift.
How so?
Well, what's being built with Australian money and know-how is essentially what some sources are calling a defensive spine for the Philippines.
A defensive spine. I like that.
Yeah, or maybe even a strategic cage. It's being built right there in China's perceived backyard. And the method isn't noise. It's, as one source nicely put it, a whisper and a shitload of concrete.
A whisper and a shitload of concrete.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive.
Yeah.
Unpack that cage. We need to get into why this quiet approach is needed now and how China's decade of, well, loud bullying finally pushed Australia and the Philippines to build defenses instead of just filing protests.
It really is a strategy born from necessity, a recognition that the old ways diplomacy statements, they just weren't cutting it anymore.
Right. The strongly worded letters weren't stopping the water cannons.
Precisely. So to understand the solution, we really have to grasp the problem first, the threat that made this drastic action necessary.
Okay, let's dig into that urgency. China's been playing this long game, what sources are calling strategic strangulation. And the key tactic seems to be this cabbage strategy.
Ah, yes, the cabbage strategy. It's quite descriptive, actually. It's all about wrapping a target in layers.
Layers of what?
Layers of boats, essentially. Imagine the Philippines trying to resupply their outpost on Second Thomas Shoal. China surrounds it.
Not just with warships, though.
No, that's the key. The outer layer might be dozens, even hundreds of their maritime militia boats, those big fishing trawlers acting in concert. Then, closer in, you get the China Coast Guard ships, bigger, more official-looking, using intimidation, blocking maneuvers, the water cannons.
And the Navy.
The pull-in, the People's Liberation Army Navy, is often just over the horizon, a visible reminder of the ultimate military backing, ready if things escalate. It puts the target in an impossible position. Fight back against civilians or Coast Guard and risk massive escalation. Or do nothing.
It's that death by a thousand cuts idea. They're not launching invasions. They're just slicing away at territory, harassing fishermen, blocking supplies, like what happened around Mischief Reef years ago.
Exactly. They build facts on the water incrementally, and for a long time the world mostly just watched, maybe issued a statement.
Why? Why the slow reaction?
China banked on a few things. Distance, for one. Economic ties, nobody wants to upset their biggest trading partner. And I think they fundamentally believed no one, especially a country like Australia, would commit serious resources to actually, draw a physical line in the sand so far from their own shores.
They assumed silence or submission.
Pretty much. They miscalculated the reaction to sustained bullying.
So that brings us to the breaking point. Diplomacy failed, protests were ignored, and that leads directly to solution number 1, the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Building this mousetrap, as you called it earlier.
Right, the hardware part of the equation, those 8 projects. This is about giving the Philippines the ability to see what's happening everywhere, all the time.
Yeah.
It's about building a digital and physical nervous system across the archipelago.
And there's a formal name for this plan.
Yes, the Comprehensive Archipelagic Defense Concept, or KDC. Sounds a bit dry, I know.
A bit, yeah.
But the ambition is huge. Basically, turn this sprawling nation of 7,000 islands into, well, an unsinkable fortress, as some describe it, making geography a defensive advantage, not a vulnerability.
And Australia's role isn't just writing checks.
Not at all. They're providing the high-end tech, the integration expertise, the know-how to actually connect all these scattered islands into a coherent defense network. Think command, control, communications, intelligence, C3I being installed across these key sites.
Okay, location must be critical then. Where are these projects? The sources mentioned Palawan.
Palawan is absolutely key. It's the Philippines' westernmost major island province. It stares right out into the Spratly Islands.
Where China's built its artificial island bases.
Exactly. So putting long-range radar stations there, assisted by Australia, means the Philippines gets early warning. They can track potentially every Chinese vessel, militia, Coast Guard, Navy operating in or moving towards the Spratlys. It buys them time, potentially hours.
That feels like a game changer. What about the other locations? Northern Luzon was mentioned.
Northern Luzon is crucial because it guards the Luzon Strait, the waterway between Taiwan and the Philippines.
Ah, the gateway to Taiwan.
Precisely. Any potential Chinese move on Taiwan, whether a blockade or invasion, would likely involve naval forces moving through or near that strait. So putting coastal defense sites there means they're watching that potential flashpoint too. It's covering the immediate South China Sea threat and the bigger regional strategic picture.
So the whole cabbage strategy, the gray zone tactics, relies on ambiguity, right? Using boats that look civilian, operating just below the threshold of armed conflict.
Correct. It thrives in the shadows, in the ambiguity.
With this new infrastructure, the radars, the sensors, it basically flips the lights on.
Exactly. It makes those gray zone actions visible, trackable, attributable. Suddenly, that supposedly civilian fishing trawler harassing a Filipino boat isn't just some random incident. It's being logged, tracked by advanced systems, potentially shared across allies in real time.
That must change the risk calculation for Beijing significantly.
It has to. The gray zone only really works if the target is partially blind and feels isolated. This infrastructure aims to remove both of those conditions. Visibility and connectivity are the antidotes.
Okay, so the lights are on. The Philippines can see the threat clearly in real time, but seeing isn't stopping. That leads to the next part, doesn't it? Turning that awareness into action. Solution 2, the muscle memory.
Yes, hardware is inert without trained people and practice procedures. This part is all about rehearsal, rehearsing for the very scenarios China's actions seem to be pointing towards. It's about operational integration.
Making the alliance work in practice, not just on paper.
Exactly, and the scale of these exercises is telling. Look at exercise alone, over 3,600 troops. Not just Australia and the Philippines, but the U.S., even Canada participating.
And what are they practicing specifically?
They're drilling the hard stuff. Amphibious assaults, how to potentially retake a seized island. Airborne insertions, how to quickly reinforce a remote garrison like that one on Second Thomas Shoal if it gets cut off. These aren't symbolic exercises. They're practicing core warfighting skills relevant to the specific threats.
And it's about getting the different militaries to work together seamlessly.
Critically, yes, integrating command structures, getting Australian and Filipino commanders and U.S. liaisons literally speaking the same operational language using compatible systems. That's the muscle memory we're talking about. It needs to be instinctive, drilled in before a crisis hits.
And technology plays a role here too. The sources mention Australian P-8 Poseidon aircraft.
Ah, the P-8s. These are crucial. They're described as the world's most advanced sub-hunters, but they do much more. Flying joint patrols from the Philippines is a big deal.
What kind of intel are they gathering?
They provide a real-time, comprehensive picture of the entire maritime domain. They can detect and track ships, surface ships, not just subs identify them, differentiate between Navy, Coast Guard, militia, using very sophisticated sensors. And crucially, they can feed that data directly back to those command centers, some of which Australia is helping to build or upgrade. It closes the loop. See the threat, share the intel, coordinate the response.
You have to imagine that every time one of those P-8s takes off from a Filipino base, it causes some discomfort in Beijing.
Oh, absolutely. It's persistent surveillance right in their area of operations. It's probably why Beijing labels every joint exercise a provocation. It directly counters their preferred operating environment of ambiguity and intimidation.
So the message is clear. This alliance isn't theoretical anymore.
Not at all. The sources suggest it's becoming an active operational reality. They're testing the systems, training the crews, refining the procedures now, as if conflict isn't just possible, but perhaps already underway in a low-intensity form. They're stress testing the mousetrap before the mouse actually shows up.
Okay, let's pull back then, connect the dots. We've got these 8 concrete projects, these ongoing, large-scale drills. What does this all mean in the bigger geopolitical picture? This is where the deep dive pays off, understanding the implications.
Right. For the Philippines, it's obviously a huge boost. They're gaining genuine deterrence capabilities, backed by strong allies. They're moving beyond just diplomatic
They're
protests.
getting tools, not just words.
Exactly. Real tools for defending their sovereignty. They're no longer showing up to a potential confrontation armed only with, a strongly worded letter. They now have integrated systems and allied support baked in.
And for Australia, what's their strategic gain?
This is classic forward defense. Instead of waiting for instability to creep closer to Australian shores, they're proactively strengthening a partner on the front line. They're pushing their strategic influence further out.
But without setting up massive permanent bases.
That seems to be the smart part. They gain strategic reach, they boost a key partner, but they avoid the political sensitivities and huge costs of large permanent basing arrangements, which can often cause friction down the line. They're providing critical enablers, the eyes, the ears, the connective tissue, which is arguably more effective and politically sustainable.
So how does China see all this? They must be watching closely.
Oh, they definitely are. Officially, they frame it as strategic encirclement, part of a U.S.-led plot to contain China. Lots of aggressive rhetoric.
But there's an irony here, isn't there?
A profound irony. China's own actions, the constant pressure, the cabbage strategy, the dismissal of neighbors' concerns, directly caused this reaction. They essentially built the justification for the very encirclement they claim to fear.
Their bullying tactics backfired, pushing countries together.
Precisely. They pushed the Philippines, Australia, the U.S., Japan, and others much closer, operationally speaking. The aggression accelerated the counterbalancing coalition.
It seems the assumption that economic ties would guarantee compliance was flawed.
Deeply flawed, and this is perhaps the biggest implication. The rest of Southeast Asia is watching this unfold. The idea that you could just stay quiet, focus on trade, and avoid taking sides, that's becoming much harder to sustain.
The era of quiet neutrality is ending.
It seems to be shifting, yes. There's a growing realization, as one analyst put it quite bluntly in our source material, that you can't trade with a crocodile and expect it not to eat you. China's actions have forced a regional rethink about security.
So back to those 8 sites, the drills. They're more than just concrete and military exercises. They represent a quiet, calculated response to years of very loud aggression.
They do. It's a demonstration that coordinated strategy, shared intelligence, and genuine resolve can still counter brute force, even in the complex environment of the South China Sea. China wanted dominance. Their actions helped build an integrated barrier instead.
It's a fascinating strategic jujitsu move.
It is. It reinforces stability not through matching noise, but through building resilience and improving the strategic balance in a very tangible way. The shift from slow diplomatic responses to this integrated operational readiness sends a powerful signal.
Which leads us to the final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. At what point does Beijing look at this developing situation, the radars, the patrols, the joint drills, and realize they might have walked right into a trap that's already been sprung?
That's the million-dollar question. And I suspect the realization won't necessarily come when the last radar dish is installed. It'll come the next time they try a gray zone maneuver, maybe another blockade attempt at Second Thomas Shoal. But instead of confusion and a delayed diplomatic response, they face an immediate, coordinated, fully tracked reaction from Filipino, Australian, and likely U.S. assets operating as one. The trap isn't just the physical stuff, it's the integrated, rehearsed certainty of that unified pushback. That's when they'll know the game has truly changed.